Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robin Brown, and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. We're once again going to be using that beautiful celebration paper from last month. You can't get it anymore, but I think most of you did get it in your purchases. Let's get going. As soon as my friends get here, we will start the video and continue on with the class. I'm going to turn this around so you can view the host code, which is good until the end of these classes. So that would be, let's make it Friday. So they're going to have some stuff that you can only get when you go online. All right. Anyway, they have this month they have an embossing folder and a special stamp set. So just be aware that there's stuff that's going to be coming up new at on Stampin' Up every now and then. So you want to check there maybe a little bit more often than you would normally check, and you have to check the website, my website store, which is www.robinbrown.stampinup.net, and you'll come up with you'll be able to view the online exclusives when you shop now. Okay, so we're going to begin, and I thought I would just, if you remember last month, we had a card that we cut at an angle and made a pocket out of, and I said we're going to have to do something with these other corner pieces. So the first card we're going to do is very simple. It's exactly like the other one, except the corner's on the top, and the sentiment is down below. So here it is, and I also made this card a fold open card instead of the single back card. So it has pretty much all the same pieces, except we have a card base. And then I put this in here. This is about the size of a gift card. Maybe it's a little bigger. I don't remember. I think it's probably a little too. It should be 3 inch or 2 inches, maybe, or 2 1/4. Anyway, it fits right in here, and that would be a cute place to put it if it's a birthday gift. And it'll hold in there really well. So, and you'll see that our flowers are still growing the right way then. And instead of the pearls, I'm using the gold adhesive backed swirls, and they're really cute. They look kind of faceted, but they have, it's going to focus. There it goes. It's got a little swirl pattern in them. All right, so we're going to just make that up real quick here. We have our card pieces. Here's our card back. So let's start from the back and go to the front. We're going to stamp our sentiment. I'm using a sentiment from, okay. I have a sentiment from Pansy Patch, and it says, wishing you a little happiness just because you're you. And that's from Pansy Patch. So we're going to stamp that with Blackberry Bliss. And I don't know if you have trouble with Blackberry Bliss. I have a little trouble with it. It doesn't dry real fast. So take that into consideration when you're mounting your paper. Hold it up to the light, make sure it's dry. And then also you'll want to possibly, if you see any wetness at all, yes, this one's still wet. If you see any wetness at all, I'm going to show you how you can just blot it. Now, if you blot it, you're going to have to be careful that you don't wiggle it around. So we're going to put it straight down and then hold it down tight and just rub back and forth like this. And you'll get any, it dried. So, but that's how you would blot it if it doesn't. So we're going to mount this sentiment, which is, I'll give you the measurement here in a second. Measurement is 3 3/4 by 5, and it's going to go on a layer that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then we're going to mount that inside our card. So there we go. That's our inside mounted. Now on our outside, we have that lovely piece of the designer series paper from the Celebration. I have cut a stitch circle out of that because I'm all for saving the environment by not using up so much paper. And if we're going to cover it up anyway, what does it matter? So I cut that right out of there. It's a good way to stretch your resources. And the DSP measures 3 inches wide by, I believe it's by 5, yes. And the layered piece is 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. So that is going to get, once again, get put over to the right. And I'm going to refold this card because it looks like it's off a little bit. Oh, there we go. There's my bone folder. There it is. All right. That's better on the edge. Yes, looks much nicer. Okay. So we're going to attach this down as if it would fill the whole paper, but it doesn't. So we're going to put it off to the right and make the top, the bottom, and this one side kind of even with each other. All right. Now you could stop there and just leave that as your card and put your sentiment on it. But our idea was to use up this piece that if you made that other card, it would have been upside down. So we want to make sure it's right side up. So we're going to attach that to its card base. And this DSP piece started as a 1, 2, 3 5/8 piece of square. Yes, 3 5/8 square, and then I cut it at the diagonal. And the back for it is a 4-inch square that was cut on the diagonal. Now it doesn't matter on the background pieces which way the arrow goes, because you can flip the paper over and it looks the same on the other side. But on this, and then I'm going to use some liquid glue around the edge, because I want to put the glue just on the very, very, very edge, so that that pocket doesn't close up on us. It would be a little wide if I use tape. So, and then I'm going to lay that so that this point is even with the top of the card and goes level all the way across, and it pretty much will automatically make the border on this side when you put it down the right way on the top. So let's line up our points and our top edge, and then just let this side fall where it does. And there you have your pocket placed. And then I have a couple of these gold adhesive back swirls, which we'll put on there. Well, we might as well wait till I finish the stamping, and then we can put the one on the sentiment as well. So we want a happy birthday on the front. You can always change this up. You know how easy it is to change up, but with a pocket, it's something for a gift, unless you have some kind of pull out that could be like a surprise in there. I don't think it would make, I mean, if you glued it down, it would make a nice sympathy card. If you're going to use the pocket, it's pretty much thank you or birthday, I think. But it would make a beautiful sympathy card, just that pattern itself. All right, and now I'm going to blot this, because, yeah, looks like it's drying, but every time I say it looks like it's drying, it smears on me. So I'm going to, yep, that one had a little bit of a wetness. And we're going to just glue this on to the circle. And because you're going to be putting a gift card in there, I'm going to glue this flat down. You could pop it up, but whatever you put under the flat may catch on it if it's bigger than. So if you know what you're going to put on there and you want to pop it up, that's fine. Now you could put this up here. That would be much like we did on the first card, but I thought it still looked better down here. So that's where I'm putting it, kind of about 1/8 of an inch away from the border on each side. And then I am going to take 3 of these gems. I'm going to put one here on the happy birthday. And since we usually work in 3s, instead of putting 3 down here, I decided to put one on the birthday. So we'll only put 2 over here. Okay. So that makes nice work out of that other piece of paper that we had from last month. Now you can do this with any kind of paper that you have. If you happened to get the fitting florets paper, it's got some nice design in it that would be nice to use on a card like this. You'd use maybe a pink or a pale blue background. You still could use this crushed curry because it matches these little dots here. That would pop out yellow in there, but this would be a good paper pack to use for that. Okay, so My happy birthday on that one came from the very best occasions. Okay. And I can't set that on my computer or something's liable to go wonky. And I need to turn this over and clean it up so that I don't get my arm in it. And I get out my chamois here. I love this because it doesn't leave lint behind. Now Stampin' Up sells one. It works the same way. It's kind of made out of the same material, only theirs is thicker. It's got a little bit more body to it. Okay, so we're going to need that for our next card, which will be now, which will be it's in here somewhere in the envelope. That's why I can't find it somewhere. All right, so remember what we did at the other class? I decided that was such a good idea that I was going to do it for this card. This is called a box top card. I had not seen this fancy fold anywhere prior to this, so I thought I would share it with you. I actually even marked the ribbon with how long the ribbon was. It was about 26 inches of ribbon, and give or take an inch or two. And then there's 4 squares here, and each square measures 5 by 5 inches. So you need 4 squares that are 5 by 5, and you need to score them down the center on one side. So 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 4 times, and you'll have a piece scored in half. Oh my gosh, we'll get to it anyway. And then I'll show you how you put them all together, but in the end you just close it just like you would a box top when you don't have any sealer. You go 1, 2, 3, and the last one gets tucked under. And it's a little tight here. There we go. And then we tie the bow, which is sandwiched between the back of this card and the white pieces. Now you can use a different color other than white behind your DSP. Your DSP is all a 1/4 inch smaller than the front of those. All right, and then the inside piece to cover up the seams on the inside that you stamp the sentiment on, which I have to show you. I don't know what happened to that card. Let me just take a deep look again, see if I can pull it out of hiding. Yes, I did find it. It's in the wrong box. Okay, so after I told you all that, this is the card that I made. This is Soft Succulent. You need 1 piece of this that is 5 1/4 square. And then this is my front of the card. And I used the Forever Fern Designer Series paper, which has some really nice gold embossing on it. And this is the So Succulent Open Weave ribbon. And then inside, I used This is again our happy birthday from Very Best Occasions. And then this is what I did on the inside. And those all come from the Forever Fern stamp set. And I think I used pretty much all of these, but I only used one. Oh, see my hands wiggling. Stop. I only used one of these. It doesn't matter which direction they went. And then the Sending You Smiles for Every Moment of Your Special Day is coming from, that must be Very Best Occasions also. If it is not, I will correct that and put it in the description of the video. But yeah, I used Blackberry Bliss, Soft Succulent, Evening Evergreen, Old Olive, and Shaded Spruce in different colors to make that inside. And we had made a card like this a while back, but I believe I stamped that with Old Olive. I think it's Old Olive. It may be one of the other colors. Just one of the colors that matches would be good. So you have to, on this one, in order to get your happy birthday to wind up on top, you need to start when you fold. Let me turn this down just a hair because our color is a little off. Got a bit of a glare somehow. Okay, so you need to start when you fold this, you need to start with the bottom one. So 1, 2, it always goes over the top of the next one, 3, and then the last one we're going to tuck in over here, 4, and then your bow. And you can decorate up each corner if you like, but that makes it more difficult to find out where they go. So I would suggest folding it first, taking a good inventory of which way you folded it, which one you started with. That way, when you fold it that way every time, you're going to get all your pieces in the right place. Okay. So let me find our stamps that we're going to use. There we are. And there we are. Whoops. Moved out of frame again. Okay. Now this is still a current stamp set. I believe the paper's still current too. Maybe not, but again, you can use any paper you like. And then this is our happy birthday from Very Best Occasions. We have our card base, which I told you is 5 1/4 square. We have our 4 squares that are 5 inches square. We need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need 1 piece that is 4 3/4. Yes, 4 3/4 square. That goes on the inside. All right, so first thing we got to do is we have to score these 4 pieces in half. You can either use your scoring tool or your trimmer that has the scoring blade. And we're going to score them at 2 1/2 because that's half of 5. So just down the center once. I went up pretty deep with that one. I cut the paper. to, in fact, I probably did, so I'm going to get out another piece to score a little bit lighter. I think I have like a burr on my scoring tool. I'll have to ask my husband and polish it off. So, okay, that's all 4 of these scored. So you're going to start with your first piece, and you're going to make a square shape using the folds of your paper as a guide. So when you put this across, that'll be the top of your card. The next one you would put, and you'd line this fold up so that it makes the side of the card. And we're going to glue it right under here. And then our third piece would get glued over here. See how we're making 3 sides of this square. And then when we're all done, we take the last one. Right. Not happy with my hands. Ugh. And the last one would get glued under here. It actually could get glued on top, but I think I'm going to try to do it under. Okay. So if that's clear as mud, we're going to put glue only on this one corner right here. And she suggested using glue. Now you're going to make your side even with the side of that paper. So, and then you want to also make sure both of them close really nicely. So hold them both, and then you'll have them in perfect place. If you don't give them a little room, then when they fold, they kind of catch on each other. Then it's a little bit easier once you start to know where to put the glue. And she suggested liquid glue because you're going to be folding and unfolding this thing. You line this up. Now line it up with the outside fold. Don't worry too much about there being a gap on the inside, because that's what that inside paper is for. Now here I got it a little close, so now I'm going to try to make sure that I have room for that to fold over on itself. So it gave us a kind of like a 32nd of an inch gap there. Now this last one, you can get glued all the way across, because it's going under 2 flaps. And I'm going to set that like this. Match up the sides. Match up the sides. I'm going to fold this in, fold this over and this over, and then mush it down. And if you put too much glue like I did, then it mushes out. So, but that can all get erased off if you use Tombow when it dries. Okay, so that's the card basic base. Okay, so the next thing you want to take is your pattern strips. And you'll need 4 of them because you have 4 flaps. And they measure 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and then you're going to glue one of those onto each one of these in the center of each panel. And I don't think you could probably use double-sided tape for this, because This doesn't need, well, you're going to have to bend one section or the other, so you want it to make sure it stays on there. So I'm going to use liquid glue because it goes nice and fast. Get that in the center of that panel, just like so. You could put these out here like this so you can see your panel. I like to use a non-directional pattern, and this may have somewhat of a direction, but not so bad. Alrighty, there's that one. Two more. And you could use soft succulent paper here as well if you wanted the more kind of monochrome kind of looking version. I'm just using white because that's what she used. Or for fun, you could use craft paper and make it look like a real box top. I think you'd want something a little less decorative than this Forever Firm paper though for that. Okay, so then you have your flaps here. That one would get tucked under there, but I'm not going to do that right now. Now we're going to turn it over to the back, and we're going to use this center gap as our guide, and we're going to put some double-sided adhesive there, and we're going to take our piece of ribbon, which I said was approximately 26 inches long. We're going to find the middle, and then we're going to put that middle right in the middle of the card and stretch it right across. It's really nice because that gives you a nice line for finding the middle of everything. And then I'm just going to loop this around here just so it stays out of our way, kind of, because the next thing we're going to do is to glue that onto our card base. So you want to once again take your, well, I said I was going to get it out of the way, but I should have just tied it up and that would have been the end of that. And we're going to put some glue all the way around, kind of close to the edge, but yeah, it's one of those things where you got to watch. Let's be a kindergarten glue person today. And then when you hold your ribbon up, then you'll be able to tell, if I can get it in my hand, where the center of your paper is, like so. And we're going to put it crossways, and which you can just turn. So set it down on there and get your borders. And that's why you want to use liquid glue, because you can move it just a hair for a fraction of a second or two to get it centered. Okay. So we have the card top done. Now we need to work on sentiments. And our inside was the 4 3/4 square. And I am going to if I can find, I found the top. This is what's driving me nuts. Bottom. There we go. Oh. Goodness. All right, and I'm going to stamp this with sending you smiles for every moment of your special day, because we're making this into a birthday. Of course, you would do your inside accordingly. And let me see, I am going to stamp that with Evening Evergreen. Any kind of dark green that you're going to use in your color scheme will work just fine. And I have that loaded up in the Stamparatus to keep it centered. I'm going to do it a couple times because I think my Evening Evergreen needs a re-ink treatment. Really needs a re-ink treatment. Okay, that's finally how I want it. Okay, we're going to move this off to the side. And we're going to start stamping our stamps. So I like to start with the red. I don't know why. I'm going to start with our Blackberry Bliss. This is the one that, I think that's why I do it this way, because this is the one that takes the longest to dry. And so that's why I'm doing it first, because by the time we get all the way around, it should be dry. Now you have to watch when you're turning this that you don't get into your Blackberry Bliss. Here. Don't get your fingers in it either, because it definitely leaves a path when you're doing it. And the other one is all messed up. It's got halos and everything from. Okay, and that's all that I do with the Blackberry Bliss, because I just wanted a little touch of that color in it. And then I'm going to take, let me see, let's do Shaded Spruce. And you just kind of, I just picked the green family here. And I'm going to, and this, so this card won't look exactly the same as the other. I'm going to butt this up next to this. Kind of, you can go over the top of each other because it's going to look like a bush or a collection, a bouquet is what I mean. So I think that's all I'll do with that color. And then I'm going to get out some olive. And I would like to do this one. And some old olive. And I'm going to go on the other side of this red one this time and go around the other way. And I'm doing that because that's kind of the way the foliage curls toward the right. So it's kind of going to shape around that. And this first one, I don't think I got dark enough. And so it really doesn't matter if you do it again, because it is going to just look like it's a bigger bush, which is really nice, especially if you make a big mistake. All right, let me get those over there. And then some soft succulent. I'm going to put a little bit more of that color in here because that is the color I want to pick up and remember from the front of the card. So we're going to go in here like this. Every one of these is going to look a little different. I want to get kind of close to my sentiment, but not overpower it. And then one more, I think one more little leaf. That kind of would be optional whether you use this last one or not. And yeah, I think I'm going to use garden green just for a little touch of a little different color. As we all know, plants have got their color schemes. And let's see, where are we going to go with this? I think down in here. And you can see this is kind of just a filler flower. There. I think that's going to take care of the inside of the card. And you can make a whole card front like that if you'd like. In fact, I believe that we did a card like that, not so, well, it was so awfully long ago. It was a year or so ago. Oh, goodness. Okay. So then we're going to take this piece and we're going to, whoops, first we're going to close up the ink because I don't want to get any of that on anything. And then we're going to take a look at this and make sure. Now, see, on this particular piece of paper, the Blackberry Bliss has still not dried. You can take your heat tool and dry it that way, but I don't want to get it out. So I'm going to try to hold this steady while I blot. And we know that the red is in the corners. So that's where we need to concentrate. But I will go all the way around just to make sure everything is blotted. And you'll see on here, you see what all that came off of there? That was all stuff that hadn't been dried. Now that may have been, I may have accidentally grabbed a non-Stampin' Up piece of paper. I'm not sure why that is. Also could have been my moist environment down here in my basement, but my dehumidifier is on and it says it's only at 45%, so that shouldn't be causing an issue. All right, so now then this is going to get mounted right in the center of that card. Now you're going to look where your bow is going. It's going across this way, so that's where you want to put your sentiment, one way or the other, but not 90 degrees apart. It could go 180, but not 90. All right, and then I'm gonna, well, I was going to press that down with something other than my hands, but you see, I'm getting pink. That pink is still transferring. So my suggestion would be to use your heat tool to heat set that. Wow, that kind of upsets me a little bit. But what are you going to do? So anyway, we'll close up this card and it'll probably get red stuff all over it. And then on the front, I have a pentagon that I cut out of the not Sentimental Park. It was, what was the name of it? something fancy dies. If you have a hexagon punch, you could use that too. But this happened to have a hexagon right here, so that's what I used. And I did stamp this with Evening Evergreen, the happy birthday, which I put where? Oh my goodness, there it is. We'll make sure we aren't getting any red in my green. That would not be good. Stamp that up with green, 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 green. It's Green Wednesday. Okay, and this happy birthday does not fit in that circle, so it's because I grabbed the wrong happy birthday. This is the one I want, the one from something occasions. Okay, happy birthday is stamped in there nicely. We can close up our greens. And we really don't have to worry too much about this one. I'm going to glue it down with some glue. Put it in the center of that hexagon. And I have some tiny little, somewhere around here, some green rhinestones that I'm going to use when I'm all done. All right, so I'm going to tie this up because I want to know where it would look the best after I tie the bow. And try to get the bow in the middle. With my shaky hands today, I don't know what we're going to be getting into. And you can trim off the excess ribbon, but I'm not going to trim very much of it off because I need a lot to tie with. And then I'm going to put this happy birthday right there. I'm going to glue it flat, and it's again because of the movement of this card. And here we go. There, I'm going to put them diagonal from each other. And one over here. Okay. So that's our box top fold card. And you just have to be patient with tucking that under because otherwise it will get mangled like the top of your card, your box does when you've done it enough times. So save from tucking it in until you have to. If you're going to sign it or something and mail it to somebody, which you're going to need a 12 by 12 envelope, which are not a 12 by 12. Oh my gosh. This is a 5.5 square envelope, and I made that on the envelope punch board, and you will get one in your kit. Now what happens with this is because it's square, it uses extra postage, so you're going to have to You probably have to have it weighed, and hopefully you can get it flat enough that they won't charge you also as a package with that knot from the bow. All right, so there it is inside of there. All righty. So that is card number 2. Okay. Here we go with card number 3. This is called a double flap card. And I'm going to be using the new stamp set Sea Turtle and the old stamp set Friends Are Like Seashells. So take your pick or use both.
I just bought that one. Yay.
What's that?
I just bought the Friends Are Like Seashells one, so yay.
Oh, cool. All righty. So let me show you how this card works. I have a piece of twine, linen thread wrapped around there, that's all. But anyway, you open it up and you see your sea turtle and some seaweed. And then this opens up as well. And that's where your happy birthday and your seaweed and starfish wind up. Okay. So it's fairly easy. I'm going to tell you, when I stamped this on this particular paper, the shiny paper, this got smudged on the shiny spots. It doesn't like to stick there. So if you used a StazOn ink, it would work fine. This one here is stamped on a different piece of paper and then colored, and I also used some Wink of Stella on it there. But that's the big shell from in here. And then, of course, the 2 sea turtles from the Sea Turtle stamp set. And the Let's Celebrate is from Sentimental Park. The fish stamp is from Sea Turtle. And this inside sentiment is from Friends Are Like Seashells. Now, this is a new color. Whoops, where did you go? Okay. Sorry, I hit my mouse and it took off and did some strange things. Where was I? What was I thinking? Oh, the color on the outside is Tahitian Tide. It is very much like our old Tempting Turquoise. Very much. And then we have a new blue coming out. With the new catalog, we'll have 5 new in colors, and they're also doing what they call a color refresh. So they're going to look at all the colors and the trends that colors are being used, and they're going to reorganize our subtles, regals, brights, and neutrals. Or do they call them neutrals? Yes, I think they do call them neutrals. Anyway, they're going to maybe bring some things that we used to have back. Like we are going to have Pretty Peacock is coming back. So we know 2 colors so far, the boho blue, which is the color, if you wanted to look at it, it's the color of that Stampin' and Emboss machine that you can get if you join Stampin' Up. Or the Pretty Peacock, if you remember that card we did with Majestic Mountains with the trees in front of a mountain in a octagon shaped gizmo, or I guess it was more like a stretched out hexagon. Anyway, those are coming your way. That's something to look forward in the catalog. if you like changing colors. All right, so what we're going to have in this card is a couple things. We're going to have a standard card base, only it's going to be cut at the 4 1/4 by 5, or 4 1/4 by 11 it starts at. So instead of cutting yours the fat way, we're going to cut it this, we're going to cut it portrait wise rather than landscape wise. And then when we do that, we're going to cut off a piece of one of the sides that measures 2 3/4 wide. So half of the front piece. And we're going to save that piece because we're going to use it a little bit later. But we're going to take this card base and fold it in on itself. And burnish the edge. And we'll have a piece of Seaside Bay Designer Series paper. Again, I'm kind of using up what I have here because I like it. And I found one that kind of looks like a beach and the water. So that piece measures 4 inches wide by 2 1/2. Okay, and it's going to get put on the front of that flap. And you can put it whatever way you like. I think I'm going to have it join up the water a little bit like this and make that look like it's, I don't know, could look like water either way, I suppose. I put the other one the other way. We're going to put this one this way. All right, and then you'll have a piece of, this is the back side of this paper. And you can use whatever side you want when you get your kit, you know, don't be afraid to flip it over if you like. This one is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I wanted it to look like water behind the sea turtles that were swimming in the sunlit pools of the ocean. And so we're going to put that right here. All right. Then we are going to have another piece that measures 3 1/4 by 10. And it is scored at 5 inches. And we're going to fold that in half. And that is going to be our inner flap. And you could also call this a card inside a card. So, which either way, but that's where that's going to fit in there. So this is the piece that gets a front and back with turtles on it. And as soon as I find the right size paper that I cut here, that's what we'll do. Yeah, here we are. These measure, both of them the same measure, 3 1/8. It's shaken. By 4 7/8. Okay, and you'll need 2 of them. One of them we're going to stamp with the turtles, if I can find what I did with them. And these are what they call reversible stamps. Now, I think you could almost do this with any of our photopolymer stamps. So I didn't think it was all that amazing, but these were specifically designed to be able to flip over. And if I can find my Tahitian Tide ink, here it is. That is what we'll use. You could also use, like if you have the Tempting Turquoise from years ago, it looks very much like Tempting Turquoise. I wouldn't be afraid to use that at all. So first off, you stamp. You get your inky stuff on your stamp. And you can decide whether you want your turtle to be blue with, dark blue with light accents or light with dark accents. This one's going to be dark with light because that's the way I did it. Don't know if that's right. Anyway, I'm going to place the sea turtle like he's swimming and give him a little push. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to do the baby sea turtle as well. And let's see, he's trying to get away from mom a little bit. So we'll put him like so. All right. She's still joined at the hip there. Well, actually at the toe. All right. Then you have to clean this off because all we're going to do is flip this over. And this stamp is symmetrically perfect to flip over. Otherwise, you really couldn't use any particular photopolymer stamp because that's what would happen is, I didn't think about that. That's what would happen though, is your outline wouldn't match your over stamp. So I'm going to get out some Coastal Cabana, some nice sea green kind of color. And I'm going to stamp it this way because it's not wanting to get color in the middle. All right. I'm going to get that nice and covered. And then you just hover this stamp over the top of the other image. And presto changeo. And I'm giving it a good push. You should have a foam mat under you. I do have a stack of paper under there. So there's the sea turtle. Not so bad. He looks pretty good, actually. And then the baby, you have to clean him off too. Give the baby a bath. And you turn him over. And we're going to put him in the Coastal Cabana as well. Ink him up real good. And if my head gets in the way, I'm sorry. I'm going to hover over, press, and lift. There we go. And then I put some seaweed on there, which is this little one here. And I used Old Olive for the seaweed. And I just used this little stamp from Friends Are Like Seashells. It's a little, there's a couple seaweed kind of looking things in there. And I just stamped on the corner. And you can make that go up as high as you like. Or not. Oops. Just hop right out of my hand. I'm going to try to get a little bit more color in this corner this time. There we go. So that's the turtle image. And he gets glued to the front of this inside card. And you don't have to use liquid glue. You can use your double-sided adhesive. And then on there, you only got a little 1/16 of an inch border on this one. All right. Okay, and then we're going to, our other one is going to use, what sentiment? Oh, the Friends Are Like Seashells one, which is on this thing that has Blackberry Bliss on it that I better clean up or I'll get it all over the place. Okay, so this is in here just to protect my black mat from getting all inky. So we'll put that in the corner and we'll get out our Tahitian Tide again. Okay. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend. What a nice sentiment. There. Down out of there. Catch-all back in there. All right, and then on the bottom of this one, I put a couple starfish and some more seaweed. So more seaweed is good. What did I do with it? There it is, the old olive. You can make your seaweed whatever color you like. Okay, and then I'm going to use Sahara sand on my starfish. And this, you can use either starfish that you want. This is the one that's from the sea turtle set. There's also 2 different size starfish in the, well, there's 1 starfish in the Friends Are Like Seashells. So, you know, if you want to keep the whole thing seashells, no worries, that works just as well. So Sahara sand and like so. And then I took and colored them in with some light crumb cake marker. I used the Stampin' Blends because you can go over the top of a water-based ink and it will not smear. So that's why I chose the blends over the Stampin' Write markers. But if you're careful, you can use colored pencils, Stampin' Write markers. You can paint them if you like. Kind of watercolor paint if you use a blender pen in the back of your ink pad. So there's our 2 starfish and our seaweed. And so now we're going to attach that to the inside of this card. There. Dust collection on that piece of adhesive. All righty, and that gets centered in here. And that's why I used liquid glue last time because my fingers are fumbling. So let's start down at the bottom, even it out down there first, and then come up to the top. There we go. All right, and then this gets centered top and bottom in here. So whatever this piece is here, the DSP in the background, I kind of centered this right and left, top and bottom into that DSP. And this particular piece, I did use liquid glue because I didn't want it to come detached in any fashion, but I think if you used a good adhesive, it would work as well. So I'm trying to get that straight and top and bottom, left and right in the center. All righty. Now that kind of looks odd when you do it this way, but we're going to make a front. Yes. So our front is going to have, I was going to use this background with the glitz on it, but since it smears the ink, I'm going to use this side of it, which is got shells and crabs and scallops and whatnot on there. I think it will be just as nice. And it also has a white piece goes underneath it. Yes, just to give it some standout appeal. And because I know if I stamp on this one, it's not gonna smear, but use whichever side you wish. If you have it stays on ink and you want to have this glimmery side show on their front, go for it. And this is just a tiny little border. Those tiny little borders have become very popular lately. All right, and then I have a fish, a school of fish stamp. So we're going to use Night of Navy for those. And I'm going to, since this blue shell is here, I'm going to have these fish swim upstream a little bit, just like so. All right. And then I'm going to use the same color ink and the Let's Celebrate from the Sentimental Park stamp set. I'm going to stamp that right across here. So whatever color you pick out to stamp this one has to overtake the pattern that you have behind. And I think that does just fine. So it says, let's celebrate. And now we're going to make that shell. We're just going to take a piece of scrap cardstock, and all you have to do is take that big shell, and I stamped it, and knowing that I was going to color it in with blends, I stamped it with our regular ink, not blackberry blue. So where is my early espresso with what I used? It's probably sitting over here. No, it's not. And that's the rest of my story that's been happening this week. That's happened so much I'm just so frustrated by it. Sitting right on top over there. Anyway, so let's see if we're going to be able to fit that on there. Yes, we are. Okay, otherwise I'm going to have to use a smaller shell, which is okay. I'm using this big one. And stamp that right on there. It looks very dark and awkward, but we're going to take the light crumb cake again and color some of the in-between spots. I think I just picked up the dark crumb cake. No, it says light. Huh. Darker than I thought. We need to bring crumb cake back. I don't know why they ever got rid of crumb cake. Maybe that'll be in the new refresh. That would be nice for the neutrals colors. They talked about bringing some old ones back, so. And I am kind of coloring this in a circle. I don't know why, because I guess I like to follow the circle, but you could just go all the way across. And then I'm going to find my light. Maybe it wasn't light. Let's see what I got here. Dark Seaside Spray. Seaside Spray is a retired color, but if you have the blends markers, you might have Seaside Spray. Otherwise, you could use your light Pool Party, because there is Pool Party color in this paper as well. So I'm just coloring over the top of the lighter areas with this blue, so it looks like there's a little bit of a tinge of blue to the shell. Not a whole lot, just enough to make it look, I don't know, I think it kind of looks natural. In fact, I bought some shells from my girlfriend Lynn the other day, and they have beautiful, like, blue and gray and green stripes in them. They're just absolutely gorgeous. All right, so now this one we're going to take and mount on the front of this. Oh my gosh. On the front of this, this is the piece we cut off from the front originally. Remember that? So we're going to use that piece next. And we're going to mount it up on the, mount this panel right here on there. And then we're going to take our scissors and quickly cut out this shell. I'm not so sure if the friends are like seashells came with an embossing folder. I don't know if it came with a die that cuts all the shells out together and embosses them at the same time. So if you want to use that, all you have to do is cut your little shell first. And then put it on the put on your color after. But I think this is not so hard to cut out, except when your hands are not cooperating today. Little bit more. And I'll find the Wink of Stella. You may want to go around the edge with a brown kind of sponge dauber to make sure your edges don't look white. But these are doing pretty good. So, or you could, there's what you can do too. You can just go like this, hold your marker up like this and go, and that'll get that white looking edge to calm down a little. It's very easy to ruin the pen tip on these markers. So if you're doing that, use the fat, well, they call it the fine tip end instead of the brush end. And then I'm just going to follow the brown stripes and put some Wink of Stella on here. And this goes around in a circle, so I want my stripes to go right, follow that curve right on around. Yeah, because I'm particular on the way my my shell looks. I don't know what kind of shell this is. Tomorrow Lynn will be able to tell me what kind it is. It looks sort of like the shape of a nautilus shell, but a nautilus shell is smooth. It doesn't have these bumps on the edges or this particular texture. All right, and then when we have that all done, it's just going to go right on here like so. So we'll glue that down. Get that on the paper as well as I can. I'm going to have sparkly fingers. All righty. And then that piece, when you put this on here, is going to center over this piece underneath. And if you plan your things right, you should only be able to see possibly only be able to see the sea turtle. You can move it a little bit over to kind of hide him. And then you'll put glue only on this top section. Otherwise, you'll glue your card shut. And then we're going to center that back on there. All right, and then I have some linen thread. And that's somebody from another program I was watching. She showed how, how you get these kinks in this? She showed taking your bone folder and going like you do for curling ribbon, and it'll straighten those kinks out. So, because this thing, when you roll it on the spool, this is so small that it's very kinky. Kinky. Not that kind of kinky. All right, so then we're gonna put this around there. Let's see what size this is. This is about 13 inches. Just wraps right on around. You can pull it so it goes under the paper on the front if you like, if it doesn't get in the way of anything. Mine would get in the way of the sentiment, so it is going to show from the back side on mine, but if you have your Let's Celebrate up just a hair higher, that wouldn't be an issue. Good thing to think about. You can do your logger's knot where you wrap it around twice. It'll stay in position for you a little bit better while you're tying the bow. You know how to do that. I've taught you that, but I don't know if you remember. You wrap it around there twice, and it just kind of wants to stay a little easier. Come on. And I hate tying bows when they need to be tied around there. So what I am going to do, because my fingers are fumbled today, I'm just going to tie a knot, and then I'm going to make a fork bow to put on there. And I think that's what I did the first time too, so. Let's see if I can get this knot tied. This stuff is so skinny. Did you ever have one where you tied it and then you pulled on it so tight to get it tight that it broke? Not fun. Okay, there's the knot. And I will get out my favorite fork. This is the fork I use for fork bows. I don't know what I would do without this. I'd have, I wouldn't have the same kind of fork bows I do. I wouldn't have those little delicate ones. You have to pick a fork that has 4 tines. And you go across the front, around the back, until it makes an X. Then you take the side that's underneath, pull it up, go in between the 2 forks, and then through the bottom to the middle ones. That's why you have to have an even number so that your bow is the same on both sides. And then while you're manipulating that with your fingers, you got to come around the front and pull the, I lost it. Somehow hold it with your back finger while you get a hold of it with the front. And then you just take the 2 and tie a knot. The rest of the knot, it's already started in a half knot. So now you make the square knot out of it. And it's tied around the fork. And then you just slip it off. And you find a mini glue dot. And you can stick it right on there, stick it on top of that knot, and then I'm going to cut these other tails off. I should have cut them before I stuck the bow down, but I didn't. So I have to be careful where I'm cutting here. Okay. And I'm going to pull that down a little because it is in the way of my words. There we go. Okay. So that's that card. This one doesn't have as much Stella. I think my Stella is running out. Maybe I should have squeezed it a little bit. See what we get. It's not quite as sparkly as the other one. But you can always add some more. Okay. All right. So that's our card number 3, if I've counted right. 1, 2. Yes, I've counted right. Okay. So then this is the last card. Here on it a little bit. And this uses the scalloped contours dies. And I used the bark embossing folder. You can use whatever embossing folder you have that you like. And it uses a hard base that's this shape rather than this shape rather than the other fat way. I think you could do the card either way. And then it uses some white ribbons, and it uses I have to find the sample card. Oh, it's because it's under here. You're the best ever. But I need to find the other plate that has "You're the best ever" on it. There it is. Okay, so, oh, you start off with a piece of your card base. And you want to score that at 5.5. It's 4.25 by 11, and it's going to get scored at 5.5. And then you're going to fold it. Oh my goodness. And you're going to find your stamp apparatus. And you're going to want to, just the way I made my stamp apparatus, I have to fold my card back. And I also have to put it on this other side. I wanted to change that around, but ran out of time to do that. So I'm going to put my card all the way over to this edge because that's where I made my stamp fit. And it's going to say, "Endlessly grateful, you make me happier." That's what it's going to say on the inside. And I stamped that in Night of Navy. And that's the inside of the card done. Okay. Now, a direction sheet here. The pieces that you need for starters of this for the scallop things would be, these use the scallop contours dies, and this piece would be 4.25 square, and then cut out with the largest of the scallop contours dies. And then this piece would be 4.25 by 3.5, cut with the second largest contour die. And on that one, you have to make sure that the piece fits between the scallops. Otherwise, you get little nicks in the corner of your paper, because that particular die has scallops on the end too. So it has to fit in there just the right way. You'll get a piece for your use to make this card. All right. So then we're going to take the other plate that I have worked up over here with "You're the best" is going to be on the front. It's also going to get stamped in Night of Navy. And what I'm going to do is put my scalloped piece right in there. You can make this a birthday card as well if you have the appropriate dies to cut that with. You're the best ever. It's going here. That's all the stamping that is required. And then we're going to, how did I do that? Oh, yeah. Yes, we're going to do that. We're going to adhere this piece down to the blue. And they fit together edge to edge. Oh, now I wanted to do something to that first. So let me back up a step. This is the die I used to cut the blue. And this is the die I used to cut the white. So you'll see how you have to kind of line that up in there so that when you cut it, it cuts those scallops off. So while we have this out here, I'm just going to set this on here. No, I'm going to set it on something else. Gosh. Okay. It'll come off a parchment easier. We're going to take our balmy blue ink and a blender brush, and you can use either a large one or a small one. They are Stampin' Up is selling the small ones now, and I just picked one that that I had already previously purchased from Amazon because I wanted one for each color. And we're going to blush this front piece with a little bit of balmy blue. Okay, just enough to say I blushed it. And that should pull off a parchment easy without tearing the, yeah. I don't know, there's some kind of like ingredient. It's probably the oil. Parchment is made from animal skin. So it's probably the oil in the skin itself that makes that happen. And we don't go killing animals to make that. So it's from repurposing animals that have crossed over the rainbow bridge. Okay. And then I put that on like that. Now we're going to close up this ink and we're going to find my things. All right, so what I did to make this, the designer suggested taking your die and taking your paper and putting the adhesive sheet behind it, and it's adhesive foam behind it. It's going to make it stand up a little bit. I didn't have any adhesive foam. So what I've done and what I will send to you is I cut 4 of these and I put one of them just like so back into this stencil, just so it would maintain the same shape. I also didn't have the die that they used. They are using the dies from Amazing Thanks stamp set and matching dies. I did not have that stamp set or those dies, so I used what is the name of this? Hello something or other. Hello friends. No. It's an old one. Old retired one. It is Hello You Thinlits dies. Boy, right here. Okay, that's the ones I have. So it had a thanks in there, and it's a little bit bigger than there, so that's why I angled it on the side, but I think it looks just as nice. So anyway, I cut 4 of those, and then I went around here with my glue, and I took another one and put it on top. And when I had gotten 2 together, then I removed this outside edge, and you got to kind of do that before the glue totally dries, or you'll stick your thing right to the front. I intended to have 4 of those cut for today, and I evidently only cut 1, and it would look okay with just 1, but I think it looks fantastic with 2. So anyway, this one's going to have 1 because that's what I did. Then I ran a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 through the bark embossing folder. I believe that one's still to be current, or there is in the online exclusives, that new folder I was telling you about. I forget the name of it, but it's right now and it's got a texture to it. I like this texture just as well. So I am going to also take my balmy blue and its blender brush, pick up some ink, and I'm just going to hit the high spots here. Sort of reminds me of birch bark, thus the bark folder, I suppose. But it didn't necessarily look like bark when you turned it blue. So my ink pads all need to be rejuiced. All right. So, all right. So now we got to find our card base again. And got to make sure that we're attaching this to the front, not to the back. And we're going to, you know that when I glue something down that's embossed, I always use liquid glue because the adhesive the double-sided adhesive does not hold down embossed paper. I don't know why, but almost every card that I've ever made that had an embossed front on, that had just used double-sided adhesive, comes off very easy. So what I do is I take the fold of the card, because you don't want this paper to go past the fold. I put the fold of the card down on the paper on your tabletop, and then I butt this other one right up against it, so both cards both pieces of paper are the same height. You can always cut something off the bottom if they don't match up, but it's pretty hard once it's glued to move that top piece without injuring the fold of your card. And I do that you can also use your stamp apparatus to line this up. You put this in your corner and then put the other paper on top, and they'll be even that way. And so you'll see right here, this isn't even on this end. I don't know if you can see that or not. It went past. So I need to trim that off a hair. And I just put it in here like so, and snip off the edge. And I don't try not to get both edges, but that's a good way to straighten your card out if it's not closing properly. All right, Then on this piece here, we're going to take some ribbon, and this is where I wanted to use the balmy blue ribbon that we had been using, and I either used it all or lost it in this swamp of art supplies that I have here in my room. So I'm going to take a piece of this crinkled seam binding ribbon. And if you don't like it crinkled, you can go take it and iron it. I'm leaving it crinkled. And I'm running that across the front of the card as straight as I can get it. And sticking it in the back. Snipping off the excess. And then I am going to get rid of this one likes to really unwind, so have your pin ready to pin it back, or you'll have a drawer full of seam binding. Then I'm going to mount this right on the front of the card. And when I have ribbon, I like to put a pass of the sticky stuff right over the top. And then I'm just going to center this in the card. It gets even right to left and centered top to bottom. Or if for some reason you like the look of it, then it's up or down a little bit, that's fine too. And I get my edge even. Okay. And then I take one of these mini glue dots. I want to make that ribbon look like it's been tied when I get the bow on it. So it's such skinny ribbon that it likes to, it's the only one that I know that likes to lay flat. So I have a tiny little glue dot on my finger, and I'm going to put it behind the ribbon. And where the bow goes, I'm going to pinch that ribbon together. Well, except that I lost it somewhere. So we have to go get another one. We'll put it on a scissors this time. Or you could use that take your pick tool. I'm going to try to show you how I'm sticking it under there and catching it in the middle and giving it a little pinch so it looks like it's been worked on here. I don't know if it's worth the battle. If you can tie a bow, you can just wrap your ribbon around there. I'm very bad at tying bows except for a fork bow. So I'm going to make another fork bow, and I'll show you that again. And you might be able to see it better with ribbon instead of string. Okay, so you lay this across the front of the fork at an angle. Go around the back and cross it over till it makes an X. Take the one that's on the bottom, go straight up the middle and over, and then through the middle on the bottom. And pull. And then cross it over and tie it off. All right, and then you only get this little bit of a piece of scrap, because this one here you cut right off. And so, you know, so out of all of that, that's the only waste. All right, and then I have this little bow here, and I'm going to pick a glue dot. These are micro glue dots. You can use whatever size you need if you need to roll it up a little. And I'm going to put it on that area that's indented. And it didn't do me much good as far as making it look like I was tied on there, but we will go for it. And then you would put your assembled stencil on here. And I'm going to put one on here because I can always go back and add another one. on top, another 2 or 3 on top. Just because I didn't cut that other one out doesn't mean that I don't have, can't put this one on there. I wouldn't normally put it on the card first. I would glue them all together first and then put it on the card, but you know, this is card class, so I'm supposed to be prepared. And then I'm going to put this on at this kind of an angle, kind of just fits on there. And to finish that off, I have some beautiful blue rhinestones. These were when they had the blue foils paper and the they may still be current, I'm not sure, but they were when they had the Waves of Inspiration card set, and it comes in two colors of blue, like a blue with a iridescent or just a plain aqua. I'm using this one because it looks more like balmy blue than the other. Oop. And I have one on here, and I'm going to do this in 3s. Okay, we're going to put one here. And just so they're not exactly in an A, oh my, come on, I should have used my, I'm going to put this one here. All right. So there you are. There you are. I think that's a very elegant, clean and simple kind of card. The only hard part is doing the die cutting, really. So that's your 4th card. So we have 1, we have 2, we have number 3, and let's see if I can find the first one we did. After throwing it around in here. You know which one it was. I cannot find it. It's somewhere lost in the abyss here, so I'm not going to tear my room apart to find it. It's here somewhere. 2 of them actually, because I made a sample and then I made another. So that's what I had for you today. Swing back around.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that was enjoyable, and I hope you didn't mind redoing that one card with the pocket. I just could not stand to not use those other corners.
Well, I'm going to look through my forks now.
Okay, yeah, this one happens to be, let me see, it's about 1.5 inches wide.
All right, very cool.
Actually, 1.25 inches at the widest spot, 1.25 inches. So, and as straight as you can get. Now you can also use, I don't know if you'd have some of those lying around from back in our hippie days. Do you have a hair pick? Like those, they have pretty straight tines, and you can really.
I do.
You could use one of those if they're, if between 4 of them they're not too wide.
I'll have to check.
Yep. And then if you want to do a double bow, you go around there twice and then tie it, and you'll get, 4 loops on your bow. And that's easier to do with a bigger fork than a smaller fork. So,
Right. Well, take care, and I'll see you in a week or couple weeks.
all righty. I thank you for coming and listening and watching, and we'll see you all next time. All right, everybody. Thank you for stopping in and being with us today. I had a good time making the cards with you. I had I'm having a little difficulty getting lost sometimes in what I'm doing, but um, I think we pulled it off here. I'm not usually quite this scatterbrained. But anyway, we're also having this class again tomorrow morning at 9:30. So if you want to join, just send me an instant message from Facebook or from YouTube, and I will definitely send you the link to let you in if you want to be here. Otherwise, the video will be posted as soon as I can get it edited and put up there. All right. So thank you very much. We'll see you all next time. It'll either be the 11th or the 18th on a Tuesday afternoon, or the 12th or the 19th on a Wednesday morning at 9:30. So maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll see you next month. Um, I'm happy to be with you here, and hope that you can join us again. Thank you. Bye.